Whew, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weekly Wrestling Heat. I wish I could come on in my cheerful self today, but today has been full of shit.
So we were gonna come on yesterday, and Elias was like, "Hey, you know what? Let's watch AW." So we have another 15, 20 minutes of content, and we'll hop on Thursday. Thursday, I'm at work. Today I'm at work. I get this notification on Wrestling Inc. that some WWE releases are gonna come, and someone really high up left the staff, and I'm like, okay, maybe just staff firings. Then you start getting the first two names that released were Frankie Monet and Scarlett, and then it just rolled into an avalanche. And yeah, Elias and I have some names we're very angry about. And yeah, we're gonna dive into these. We're not gonna do any reviews today. Don't feel like it's the right thing to do, especially because some of these people were on TV less than a week ago. So we'll dive right into this.
I okay. I
Do we want to
never
go one by
want.
one, or how do you want to do this?
Let's go. I mean, shit.
Actually,
It,
we shouldn't go one by one because if there is a name that we're kind of just like whatever on, I'd feel bad. Like only so much we're gonna say about an Oni Lorcan. Like, dude's a great worker, but you have a lot of great workers in WWE.
okay. So let's get top three names that kind of caught me and pissed me off. One, Keithley.
Okay.
This guy has it. In NXT, he was one of the best guys. He was over with the crowd. People loved Keith Lee, and you dropped the ball on him in the main roster. Like, how? Like, how do you drop the ball on Keith Lee?
Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna go one by one. If there's someone we don't care, if there's someone we don't care about booking, too bad for that. Too bad for that person. We know 99% of you are gonna get back on your feet, so we're gonna go one by one. Uh, Pull it up in alphabetical order, but we'll start with Keith Lee because I have some thoughts on this too. I think Keith Lee shouldn't get another job until January.
I don't think he can't. Nobody in the that was in the main roster
No,
can
January.
get.
Wait, well, what month? November, December, January. Oh shit. Well, I mean, okay. So maybe this round of
Actually,
firing, maybe it's beneficial because maybe you bring some of these things back for Rumble and see how the crowd pops for them. You're not going to, obviously, but I think you could definitely bring Keith Lee back because of the reaction you got with him and Brock's face to face.
I just don't know how you could drop the ball on Keith Lee. It's freaking Keith Lee. Like I I I'm hurt because I'm mad about this one because of the fact that I've seen Keith Lee go from the Indies, watching him here in Houston, watching him for Booker T, uh, at Lone Star, TASW, go into the freaking go to PWG, go kill it in the Indies, and then just to get the NXT successful in NXT, and just to get change his
Dude, not
gimmick.
only that, you killed it at Survivor Series. You and Roman went the full distance at Survivor Series. You got a big ass pop at Rumble, where even Brock
How?
was like, "Who the hell is this motherfucker?" Like,
Like, how do you drop the ball on him? Like, he could have been that, even if you would have put him as a fourth member of the Hurt Business. There's a lot of potential that was on him. Another one, Karrion Cross.
I thought we were going alphabetical order. What happened to this?
I don't care. We're just jumping. Karrion Cross and Scarlett. Like,
I think Heron Cross should have kept the gimmick that he had an impact, and I think Scarlett should have kept the gimmick she had an impact.
but I like the gimmick that they had in NXT. They
Well,
watered it down.
if that's not what Vince likes bombshells, Why not have her keep the blonde bombshell gimmick and have Karrion do the same gimmick he had in Impact?
Why? Here's my thing. Why the fuck did they bring Eva Marie back? They could have used Scarlett in that fucking role. I'm sorry. I'm not mad about Eva. I'm bummed out that Eva Marie got released because of the fact that,
as fucked up as this is to say, Eva's the most well off of all the names that got released.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then what sucks is that you had Harry Smith signed for a contract for such a long time that he didn't even get to debut on TV.
I want to. So here's the thing with the Cross thing. I feel like Cross and Keithley you can have re-debut at Rumble, especially with how fucked up you made it. Like, I think Cross had a great feud with Eddie Edwards and Impact to end his run. I think you could have done the same thing with Jeff Hardy if you had Cross as a killer and not as a gladiator warrior.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm booking, if you give the pen to me, and this isn't going to happen because I'm smarter than WWE Creative, my number 1 and number 2 on the Rumble are Keithley and Karrion Kross. My number 1 and number 2 entry are Keithley and Karrion Kross, and you go from there.
But here's the thing about it. He got watered down on the main, and when he was in NXT, the latter end of his NXT run, he was a heel. People were booing him, and then after you had him lose to Jeff Hardy, it just made no sense. He was still NXT.
But then you still went like the right way when he lost the title. So I'm not going to care about any of that. Here's what you do: you booked him as number 1 and number 2 in the Rumble. You give Vince 3 months. You give this old guy that we want out of there 3 months to figure out what the fuck you want to do with these two, and you bring them back as 1 and 2 in the Rumble, in whatever gimmick you want to keep it as, or a one-off, whatever you want to do, and you have these guys have Jeff Hardy come out as number 3, have Almost come out as number 4, Bobby come out as number 5. Like, these guys have already like gotten like their feet wet with, like for Keith Lee you can have a Bobby Lashley because him and Bobby have gone at it. For Kerry you have Jeff Hardy. Like, have those guys 3 and 4 tossed out. I don't care about Bobby's built enough. Jeff Hardy's built enough. They can have 1 minute Rumble entrances and they can still have a headlining match at Mania.
But I don't think. Here's the thing: I don't think any of these stars would want to go back to WWE.
I don't either. But when you're working indies and you get a big ass payday for a one-off, you're gonna do it.
I don't think they'll go.
As much as the indie scene is thriving, if WWE's like, yo, Keith, you're the $50,000 one-off for you, and you know what? You're the $15,000 one-off for your wife. We want both of y'all. You don't think they're gonna say yes to $65,000?
I mean, they wouldn't, but what's the possibility of that happening?
And it's untaxed in Texas, bro. They live in Texas. Or they live in Florida, but it's untaxed there too.
But here's the thing about it too. It's like, okay, those 3 names. You got Keith Lee, Scarlett, and Karrion, or Killer Kross now. Like, these guys had the it factor that Vince was looking for, that Vince likes. Mm-hmm. But yet they get to the main roster and you drop the ball on them. Like, it doesn't say much about what your creative is doing.
I think Vince is petty from losing to AEW, for NXT losing to AEW, that every guy that comes out of NXT now, he wants under his gimmick.
I think it's just stupid. I mean, all right, let's keep going through the list. B-Fab, she just debuted it with Hit Row.
Yeah, that was stupid.
That was stupid. I mean, Trey Baxter, come on, man.
Okay, one second. With the Trey Baxter gimmick, like, I'm very upset they got rid of him and they kept his girl. Like, I'm so happy Cora has a spot still because there were rumors she was getting a release too. And Cora is one of my favorites on NXT right now. So I'm very happy she still has a job. But you just teased the storyline where you were going to have Baxter as the loser, Cora winning some matches, and then Zion Quinn eventually turning Baxter into a superhero, with where they were going or some shit. So I don't know what happens now. Unless Vince got so turned on by that Zion Quinn segment.
I don't know. I just I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this whole thing. Like, I'm looking at Keithley, Mia Yim, Frankie Monet, who only has 6 matches in NXT. Ember Moon, another veteran that got dropped the ball on majorly. Oni Lorcan, Trey Baxter, Scarlett, B-Fab, Harry Smith. It's like, I don't know how to feel about this. It's like WWE is making it harder for people to want to support them.
Dude, they want to appeal to the casuals. It's what Justin said. They want the casual views. They want to stay above 2 million on SmackDown. They want to stay above 1.5 on Raw. That's all they care about.
Yeah, the bottom line number. And they just, I mean, and it sucks because today was their earnings call and they are fucking profitable. More profitable
More than they thought they would be. Yeah.
So it's like, why, if you're profitable, like
let's get into your Nick Khan theory. I told you some stuff off the air. I don't want that brought up because I want that to stay between me and you. But do you think it's Nick Khan or do you think it's a Vince call?
I think this is a Nick Khan call. I think Nick Khan is trying to streamline the product to the point where it's marketable enough to be able to be sold, if it comes down to it. That's where my mind is at right now. Like,
so it can't get sold for another 3 years because USA and Fox both have stake in it now. 2 years or 3 years, whatever the contract is, when it ends, where do you, if let's say WWE is getting sold, where do you want it to go?
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you who I want it to go to. I want it to go to Paramount. I want it to go to CBS. We didn't talk about this in the wrestling news, but we kind of touched on it, but more details came out after we touched on it a couple weeks ago. WoW is relaunching under CBS and Viacom, and the owner of WoW is the owner of the LA Lakers. It's Jeannie Buss. I think if you give a name like that, if you give a name like Jeannie Buss, a company like WWE, I feel like then you have a war because it's 2 sports owners, right? It's Tony Khan, Jeannie Buss. You could all, it could be a lot of fun. I don't want the company to get sold because I like it under what I'm used to. But if it's going somewhere, I want to go to CBS. I don't want to go to Fox. I don't want to go to Disney. I don't want to go to NBC. I actually, you know what? At this point, I want to go anywhere where I can fucking rewind a pay-per-view.
I just want this shit to stop. Like, this is ridiculous. This is the 4th batch of releases this year. Like, 4th batch of releases in 1 year, and the product is still subpar. It's not where it needs to be, where it usually is. And this is coming from a pro WWE guy that's been trying to stick with them for the longest and support them. But at this point, I'm sitting here
I think the Raw and SmackDown are watchable now, at least. Well, SmackDown's been great. I think Raw's watchable now. I think NXT 2.0 is what they want it to be. Okay, so let's say from AEW and the three WWE shows, rank them in order of what you get most excited to watch.
I honestly just watch SmackDown now, and I assume through Raw and NXT.
Okay, see, so I watch. For me, the order that I get excited about them now is AEW, SmackDown, NXT, and I skim through Raw.
Because, like, if you look at it in the past year, you have, and I'm gonna name these people off of the names that have been released this year: Bobby Fish, Mercedes Martinez, Leon Ruff, Tyler Russ, Bronson Reed, Jake Atlas, Ari Sterling, Conan Reeves, Zachariah Smith, Asher Hill, Giant Sangier, Stephon Smith, Desmond Troy, Bray Wyatt, Chase Parker, Matt Martell, Killian Dane, Marina Shafir, Arturo Ruas,
But
Chris
okay,
Gallion.
Elias, that's fine. But dude, 80% of the names you said were filler, bro. Like Desmond Troy. I'm sorry, dude. No one's gonna follow him. No one's gonna follow a Bobby Fish. No one's gonna follow a Dude, I can't remember the first three names you said. Like,
Well, I think Fish,
I think
Martinez, Bronson Reed.
Okay, yes. Okay. Let's
Hold on.
let's talk about the names that don't have that much of a following that got released. Oni Lorcan, Desmond Troy,
Grand Metal League, Jeet Rama, Katrina Cortez.
Jeet Rama, Wyatt Ginger, like those guys, like they're not gonna turn the needle anywhere they go. They might decrease the needle, honestly. Like,
I think it's just one of those things where, like, it sucks because these guys, like, what made me mad was that you released both Mia Yim and Keithley at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you dropped the ball on both of them because Mia Yim could have been something really special. You put her in Retribution, which sucked, and then you
wait, pause. Let's say something about Retribution. Shane Thorne, Dijakovic, and Mace, none of them complained. They still have a job. Mia complained. It sucks. Like, I agree. It's a stupid gimmick. It was a stupid gimmick. But the two that complained were Mercedes and Mia, and they got let go.
Do you think that? So going back to the theory, so everybody seems to think that Nick Khan is behind these releases, and that Vince McMahon signed off on it. Do you think that it's one of those things that you just want to say, fuck it? Or is it one of those things that you just don't realize? I don't think WWE is realizing that little by little they're going to start losing fans if they continue on a trend like this.
Are they? People said that about CM Punk.
But look at AEW.
AEW's losing viewers.
Yeah. So
are they?
It could be. There's no telling. I mean, what would it take for WWE to realize that them doing these releases is
if a Charlotte Flair got released in this, if a Bianca Belair, a Sasha Banks, a Roman Reigns, a Seth Rollins, hell, I would say the lowest name on that totem pole to make people care, I think if a Finn Balor got released or a KO got released, maybe. But with all the names that are gone, and dude, you know how much I love Cardona. I was so upset when they let Ryder go. Every week I talk about Ryder's interviews and I say how this guy won't bash the company because he knows that's what got him where he is. Like, he's doing great on Impact. Like, I want to see these people blossom, but he's not moving the needle. He moved it for GCW, but GCW doesn't have a needle as it is.
And I think that's what's working for him. Like it's moving the needle, but it's causing controversy, and I think it's getting his stock up there with that.
So you
Like,
don't think any of the release names are going to be in the Rumble?
no,
Okay, you realize you have like 15 women on the roster then, and you need to fill 30.
I just don't think that they'll bring
Um,
anybody
um,
back.
and here's what I'm going to say: from the names you have on the roster, you can't bring a Mickey James back in the Rumble. She's already contracted. You can't bring a
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes Martinez back. You can't bring a Inspiration back. You know.
You can't bring none of the. I mean, here's the thing: we could say all this and that. The main thing about it is that these people that were released, some of them were meh or something. Like some of them weren't up there. Like they weren't a Keithley, a Nia Jax, a Mia Yim, uh, uh, Karrion Cross or stuff but like, come on, you dropped the ball on Frankie. You had her there with her husband, and
You don't
the
think if
best
the
work.
Rock called? You don't think if the Rock called in December, says, "Yo, I'll be at Mania, but you're getting my cousin to be in the Rumble." You don't think Vince is going to do that?
I think out of all those names, the one person that might actually do something that might come back is Nia Jax. That's the only person. That's the only person that I think that will come back.
I I think two of these names pop up at the Rumble at least.
Who?
I could see I could see a Keithley back at the Rumble.
Mm.
I could see a Frankie do a one off at Rumble. Honestly, if they're like, "Yo, you're still released, but we'll let you like have 15 minutes in the Rumble to show off what you can do to other companies," I think she'd do it. Because her husband's still employed there. Her husband's still employed there. She's great friends with Dolph Ziggler, Maurice, and The Miz. Like, those are all people that still have WWE ties.
I guess I'm trying to still grasp my hand around it because it's like with Frankie, you could have done a lot with her. Like I enjoyed her and Mundo and Johnny's run in Impact when they were together. You could have built off that. And to be honest, you could have built off both of them in the Miz.
Well, Miz went to Dancing with the Stars, so.
Well, he just got eliminated this week, so he'll be back on eventually on WWE TV.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like I said, oh, there's three or four names that really upset me. I think the rest are filler. Like I think it is a Nick Khan move. Yeah, like I totally do. Um, I just don't know. Like, I guess I don't expect less from the company now. So
I don't neither, but at the same time, it kind of makes it hard to be a WWE fan because, like I said, over the past year, 2 years, you've released some great talent, and some of them are hit and miss. But at the same time, you've had these guys who have done wonderful things outside of WWE that you wish, like, fuck, they could have done this if they would. They what they could have done with these guys if you would have given them the chance and the time to do it.
see, I
And
think the names that we say that about are names that walked away. I don't think those are names that were released. Daniel Bryan walked away. Adam Cole walked away.
no, because some of them were released in that instance.
Who's the biggest name right now out there? Alistair?
Alistair, Rusev, the Good Brothers, Deanna, Eric Young, um, Dash and Cash, the FTR.
FTR, as much I love FTR, their style is not WWE.
Ty, she's made
Ty,
a name for herself.
I
Serena
agree. I agree.
made a name for herself. I'm going through the list. Luke Harper. Well,
He was before all of this, dude. Him
well,
and
that
Matt
was last year's
Hardy were
release.
good. Yeah, him and Matt
Last
Hardy
year's
were
releases.
before all this.
This
Yeah.
year's releases, if we're looking at it this year, I'm trying to go through the list because I got it up. I mean, the inspiration, Chelsea Green, Mickey James. That's pretty much Braun. Not even Braun. Alistair, Ruby. That's it. I mean that from this year. So those people that weren't really being used.
So if
The
you're
rest of
telling
the
me
people.
once a year, you're letting go of 3 to 5 talents once a year. You're letting go of 3 to 5 talents that are frequently on my TV, and they're a multi-billion-dollar company. I'm okay with that. AEW is gonna have to do it soon enough too. Once they get their streaming deal, we don't know what they're gonna have to pay for that.
I agree. I mean, shit. I mean, it's not a. It's a. It's a fucked up situation. I mean, I'm
And
not. I mean,
and you know what a lot of people aren't talking about that I caught in this American top team? As much as they built Masvidal, he ain't in the match.
mm-mm,
So I'm gonna say they couldn't afford him.
mm-mm. I just. I don't know. I don't know how to. Like I said, it's one of those hard things to process in a sense because of the fact that, like, yes, like the past year has sucked because that's over probably like a good over 50 talent that have been released. So it's like while some of them have not made a significant impact, you don't never want to see somebody without a job.
I agree.
And I think that's where it sucks because with WWE with WWE being as profitable as they are nowadays, I think that them releasing people is kind of shitty. But like I said, like we said at the beginning of our show, WWE cares about bringing the casual fan about um bringing the casual fan and bringing just making money.
You know who I feel bad for? The developers of WWE 2K. They didn't even
I
afford
I,
time to
re-
have to go in there and change our roster.
I really do feel bad about them because man, whew, I don't know. Do we think that I don't know. I just I can't wait to see these guys back out and actually doing what they want to do. I think that at some point you have to think when is it enough for WWE to continue doing the same practices that they're doing and continue to stick to the same traditional stuff that eventually is leads to shitty booking and dropping the ball on good on people that have a lot of potential. It might
I
never stop.
I
Might
think
never
Vince
stop, unfortunately.
I think Vince has who he wants the future to be built around.
I agree. I think it's going back to what was said a long time ago that right now they prefer to they prefer to develop their own talent at their own level to make the homegrown talent, and they're getting rid of all the indie people.
See, I wouldn't even say that because you kept a Damian Priest, you kept an Austin Theory, you kept an Apollo. Those were guys that were well established on the indies.
Hmm.
EO.
Or is it that WWE just wants to use the people that they like?
I think I think here's what it is. I think every time there's an earnings call, Vince pulls up the WWE roster. He looks through it. He sees people he doesn't know. But when he sees those people he doesn't know, if they're good looking like Austin Theory, or they look like rock stars like a Damian Priest, or he feels like he can book them in a storyline, like a Shayna Baszler or Bianca Belair, I feel like he keeps them. I feel like if he sees a talent that looks dull on paper, he watches maybe half a match, and he's like, all right, I'm going to let go of this person.
I think that my theory on this is that Nick and Vince look at the performance of the star, whether they're making the gimmick that they give them work, and if they're getting over. And if they're not getting over, then they'll get rid of them. Or if it's
Jay
somebody
Elite
that
never
they
got
just,
over.
and that's where the whole thing is just, like I said, it goes back to the favoritism thing. Which people, actually, let me rephrase that. I think it's whoever is a person that's willing to not complain about the situation they're put in, that that gets to stay, because a lot of these people that were released eventually complained about the status that they're in the company. Now the NXT ones, it baffles me because, I mean, like, it baffles me because there's a lot of people that released that were trying to make a living, trying to just do what they do, and they still got released.
Yeah, but even like Cameron Grimes, Vince kept him around. A Samuel Shaw, Dexter Loomis, sorry. They kept him around. So I don't think it's the indie thing. I literally think it's what me and you said. Vince looks at a guy, but see, then it's like, why the hell did you let go of Kona Reeves?
Exactly. So,
Maybe he was too injury prone.
mm,
um,
those are things that I'm trying to figure out exactly what the fuck is going
there's
on.
some names I was surprised weren't cut, and I'm very glad they weren't because I'm a big fan of these guys. I'm glad they kept an Elias around. I'm glad they kept Riddick Moss around. Um,
There was a lot of rumors going around today that both Gargano and what's his
Candice,
name? No,
Dexter,
no,
Sako.
Kyle O'Reilly were gonna get released today,
So Kyle's contract's coming up at the end of this year.
December,
Yeah.
December.
So I think Kyle's gonna be one of those situations where they're gonna be like, if you want to walk, you walk.
I agree. I think they'll let him walk if he doesn't resign. Like, I think
I
that
I think Johnny has the backing of Shawn Michaels, like to where it's, yo, I'm gonna hang around in NXT. You don't need to give me a pay raise. I'll do the occasional Rumble. I'll do the occasional main roster slot if you need me to. You don't need to give me a pay raise, and I want to eventually turn into a trainer because these are my kids.
yeah, and I think that's what Gargano is aiming for. I think Gargano's aiming just to eventually stick it out with WWE, unless he decides not to renew his contract.
But see, I don't think he's gonna do that, especially with Candice being pregnant right now.
I think he'll get picked up pretty quickly.
I think he will, but let you get picked up, you freaking do a couple of weeks of whatever the hell the first go around with Leo Rush was, then you're hurting for money again.
Yeah.
And you got a brand new baby coming, so why risk it?
Yeah. I don't think they'll release Gargano neither because they see the money in Gargano and Ciampa. Like even like this Tuesday, they teased them. Like they teased another match, or they teased another reunion of DIY, whatever it was. So I don't think they'll get rid of those two guys. Those are the, if they do, then that's going to be a complete shocker because these are guys that are basically willing to work for WWE.
I think WWE's got 8 to 10 names that can headline a WrestleMania in 5 years.
I agree, but from there you start to think what do you do to continue.
Well,
It
for
goes back to
there,
it goes.
no, you don't. You know why? Because in 3 years, those AEW contracts are coming up, and they're not going to re-sign everyone. I know the diehard AEW truthers think they will, but they're not.
No, because the roster has gotten so massive on AEW.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
And
one of those
Impact
things.
rosters are going to come up, and Moose was really close to sign to leaving Impact. Remember?
Yeah.
I think that Josh Alexander next go around might leave Impact. As much as I don't want to say.
Well, we look at it. I mean, if you look at the AEW roster, you got people like Angelico. Who else? I'm looking at the roster right now.
Trent, Chuck, yeah,
Trent, Chuck, Chris Daniels. No, Chris Daniels is a trainer there, so they won't get rid of him.
And he's work and they're letting him work Impact.
Yeah. Shoot.
Kajarian.
Jack Evans, Joey Janela, Kip Sabian,
Sonny Kish, Penelope Ford,
yeah, like those guys that aren't really being used on the roster.
But here's what I'll tell you: WWE can make Penelope Ford a star yesterday. WWE can make a Tay Conti a star yesterday. They didn't, but they could.
True.
Like everyone's like, oh, WWE's letting go of these younger talents. All right, let me tell you something, guys. Austin Theory, he's going to be headlining WrestleMania in the next 8 years. Or he'll be a big part of WrestleMania in the next 8 years.
I agree.
Montez Ford, I think he'll be not this year, but the WrestleMania after he'll be a big part of.
I think it's one of. I just think that, and this is my personal opinion about everything going on. I just think it's bullshit to call the releases budget cuts while your company is showing profits out the ass. So it's like that's my only problem with it. Yes, releases happen. This is stuff that used to happen back in the day that people really didn't broadcast. Releases always happen. These releases have been common with WWE. It's just that it's a lot of big names that have been being released over the past 2 years. When you have Bray Wyatt get released or Braun Strowman get released after, stuff like that is those names, those big names.
I think Braun Strowman will be back. He still hasn't debuted on Impact. They haven't teased it. Rumble's getting really close.
Do you think? I don't think Bray Wyatt's coming back. I'll tell you that much.
I don't think Bray Wyatt matters. It's messed up to say, but here's the thing. Bray Wyatt, the reports came out, he was a headache towards the last couple of months of his run. If the Usos weren't related to The Rock, that last DUI, they'd be gone.
Yeah. I guess it's just one of those things that sucks. Let's call it what it is. It sucks. It sucks because like you don't wish bad upon people, and these guys work their asses off to get there, and it's it sucks that the ball got dropped on a lot of them because a lot of these guys and women and gals had great potential to do big things. Like it sucks that AQA got released. Like she was really one of my favorite people from reality wrestling, and I was
Yeah.
happy when she got signed for her NXT contract. So
I really thought Joey Stark was going to get let go today because she had that bad spot and they wrote her off with injury. I thought she was going to get let go
yeah.
too, but
So
um,
and the thing about it is when you go back and think about it, does this really make WWE marketable for anybody in the indies right now? Like what
no, but dude, Elias, it's not. But when the money's in front of you,
you're willing to take it.
it's this is a horrible example, but there's those TikTok videos where people are like, "Yo, if I give you $1 million to make out with another man, will you do it?" To a straight guy, and he's like, "Hell yeah, for $1 million, I'll use tongue too." Like people will when the money's in front of you, there's only so much you can do, right?
Yeah. I guess it's just one of those things that sucks because of the fact that some of these people we were invested in. Like I was invested in Keithley. I was invested in Mia Yim. I was invested in Karrion Cross and Scarlett before they fucked that up.
Dude, I told you the day that Kieran Cross debuted, I was like, dude, I love this guy. I've met him twice. He was a great guy both times. Um,
Wasn't you the one that said he's gonna debut in the main roster, not even 90 days he was gonna get fired?
no, that was Matt because Matt was very against Cross.
Okay. So but I mean it sucks because like I said, they dropped the ball on him big time. I definitely like hate that they dropped the ball on him in the main roster. Like if they weren't gonna use him properly, they should have just kept him at NXT and could let him continue getting the heat that he was getting because like he was doing good. He was you need a monster heel, and that's what he was in NXT. Then you brought him up to the main roster, and then you dropped the ball on him. Same thing with Keith Lee.
You
He was a
know,
monster
I
baby
think it's
face.
the I think it's a not complaining thing as well because Dijakovic and Priest had a banger the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And now I can actually see them dropping the whole T-Bar gimmick and just going with Dijakovic if they don't want two Dominics.
yeah.
And
I
they're giving him mic time, they're
they're
giving him
giving
ring
him TV
time.
time. Yeah, so yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with that, and I think it just sucks. I'm just gonna flat out say it. It just sucks. I don't- I I knew that there were gonna be releases today. With I was reading the Twitter feed, but I didn't think it was gonna be to this level. Like,
You know how you find out who they're huge on, and I figured this out last time Mania was in Dallas. They had a pre ticket sale party, and the NXT talent they had wrestle there were the Hype Bros, Enjo Cass, Mela, Alexa, and Buddy. All of those guys had pretty significant main roster runs. So
yeah,
I'm going to the ticket sale party on Wednesday. I'll probably do some live TikTok videoing or something if you ever get our TikTok made. Um, and we'll see. Like, I really think it's going to be centralized around a Braun Breaker and a Tony D'Angelo. I think they're both going to have squash matches. I honestly think they will. And I wouldn't be surprised if a Mandy Rose is there.
here's the thing about this whole thing. I think it's going back to what we said a little earlier. I think WWE is starting to focus more on their talent that they want instead of giving the people what they want. Because
yes and no, because a year ago, people were like, WWE isn't going to touch Gigi Dolan with a 100-foot pole.
and she's a NXT Tag Team Champion right now.
She's got the most TV time on NXT 2.0 aside from her partners.
Well, let me reverse that. I think that they're going with the people that they know that they like. I think it's more of the people that they see that they think can be successful because they ran that experiment with a couple of people and look where they're at now.
Do you see any of these names going to AEW?
Looking at this list, I see one or two.
Taya, probably.
Taya could possibly go back to Impact.
Mm-hmm. She left on a great note there, and they love her there.
But I mean, the way she left, they said that she went to the penitentiary at Stanford, so you know they could probably make it be like if she finally got released from her.
I know Taya's getting up there in age. You can bring her back in that Mickie James, Gail Kim type of role, where she has like one or two title matches, gets the title, and eventually transitions into what Gail Kim is doing.
I could see Karrion and Scarlett going back to Impact.
Scarlett left on a horrible note, remember?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I could see
but it was also against Callis. She had problems with Callis.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I think Impact's going to hurt by letting Dreamer go.
Yeah. Nobody talked about that. They let Tommy Dreamer go, and they released a couple of more people.
Yeah, but it's not WWE, so no one cares. That's the thing. It sucks. They let go of Noe Jose.
Yeah.
TJP. Well, I don't think they let go of TJP. I think he's working New Japan like the next loop.
See, nobody actually 5 names removed from the Impact roster, which is No Way, Taylor Wilde, TJP, Tommy Dreamer, and Petey Williams. Petey Williams is supposed to be getting a coach role or a backstage role with WWE.
I think Taylor Wilde would be great for AEW or WWE in a producer role as well.
Mm-hmm. And then from these names, you can see Scarlett and Karrion Kross either going to AEW or going to ROH, not ROH, but MLW. I can see Frankie going back to Impact. B5, Jessica Maya say to B5 and Jessica Maya, I don't know. Trey Baxter can go back to the Indies.
You know why the Jessica Maya thing surprised me? Because he's best friend with The Rock's daughter.
True.
That one kind of took me by surprise.
Other than that, I don't know. The rest of them, Keithley, I could see Grand Metalik and Lindsay going to Mexico or going to the AAA or CMLL. Harry Smith going back to Indies. I think his relationship with MLW ended pretty badly, or I don't know how that ended, but
I know Scott D'Amore's a big fan of his, though.
That too, he could probably go to Impact. Eva Marie, I think you're right. Eva Marie is the best off out of these people because she just go back to her modeling and acting, and her and
her endorsements.
Yeah. So she really doesn't suffer. I mean, the Eva Marie experiment failed. I mean, it got over to a certain extent, but it failed. Nobody wanted her there.
I bought a T-shirt.
That was your dumbass. Oh man, I don't know. I'm bummed out. I think it's one of those things that it's just it sucks.
Trey Baxter could easily go back to an Impact, go back to that X Division scene. He had a couple of bangers in Impact. Him and Chris
and
Jay had a really good match there.
And then it just doesn't make it any better that Ring of Honor is like going through the stuff that they're going through. So it's like their Ring of Honor is releasing all their stuff, and then now WWE comes out with another run of cuts. So it's like it sucks. But on the bright side, these guys will find work. I'm pretty sure that the people that were underlooked.
The worst part about all this is that Cody's not the TNT champion, so he can't have these one-offs with and beat all these people. So
either way, NXT and AEW were pretty decent. I guess prayers go out to Jon Moxley and his fam. Tony said that Jon Moxley has entered a inpatient rehab. Tony Khan has announced on Twitter that that Jon Moxley went into rehab, inpatient rehab for alcoholism. You know, I will say one thing about AEW. I liked CM Punk bringing the realness into it.
I did, but I feel like they're gonna fuck with it on Friday with the Eddie stuff.
And I hope they don't, because I really just I thought that portion of it was great.
You know where if you want to mention it, you just have Eddie say, "Yeah, wasn't at AEW Wednesday. I was with Mox." That's where you end it. Just end there.
Yeah.
Then go into them talking crap about one another.
I will say this, and this is just, you know, to anybody listening to this replay or anybody listening to it right now, if you need help, reach out. That's one thing that I will say. Mental health, any kind of health issue that you're struggling with, get help. Our inboxes are always open for Weekly Wrestling Heat. If you ever want somebody to talk to, it's just one thing that you don't have to suffer alone, and that's one thing that we will say. As much as we bullshit around, as much as we chat and say shit, sometimes we care about everybody. So if you ever feel that you need to talk to somebody, reach out to our inbox. It's always open for us, and we'll respond. Other than that, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. I mean, this show was supposed to be about covering what happened these past 2 days, this past week in wrestling, but today is
just kind of a big fuck you on that.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, blame WWE. Yeah. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe. We'll be back next week with another episode of Weekly Wrestling.
I'm gonna try to find Nick Khan on Wednesday if he's at this WrestleMania pre-sale event, and try to have some work with him.
Smack him. Just smack him for me. Just do me a favor. Smack him. I'll bail you out. I'll drive to Dallas to bail you out.
Dude, this guy.
If not, I'll put $1 in your book.
Bro, he became the number one heel so quick in the wrestling business.
So before we sign off, I think this is something to ask. And this is a question to all our viewers as well. Do you think that WWE is enjoying being the heel of the wrestling industry? Because right now,
they don't but I feel like it hurts Triple H and Shawn Michaels so much.
I agree, because somebody said that. I think it was Jon Moxley. I saw some excerpts from Jon Moxley's book saying that they don't see Triple H having that it factor to continue and keep WWE successful. Do you think that's the case, or do you think that if somebody else took the reins of WWE, do you think that it would be more successful than it is now? Dude, who can lead WWE if Vince were to magically disappear?
I think if Stephanie and Triple H could do it. I I think they could definitely make the image way more likable than Vince has. And you see that with the Titus O'Neil stuff. It's
Yeah,
always Stephanie and Hunter congratulating him. Yeah, Vince does too, but it seems more sincere when they do it.
I think it's
Um,
I think it's the old school way that is hurting WWE. And if they don't and if they don't learn to adjust to the new school, it's gonna hurt them in the long run. Yes, they're making money, but when the and this is just saying just generic setting, when if the audience start gets comes to one accord and starts boycotting WWE and making them suffer financially, then they will probably see something. But other than that,
so
I don't see anything.
Sean Ross Sapp tweeted, "You're going to be seeing a lot of WWE had no creative plans for blank stories really soon." Which that's basically what I said about a lot of these talents, right?
Mhm.
Why would you sign Harry Smith if you have no plans for the dude?
Why would you sign a lot of these people if you didn't have any plans for them?
Yeah.
Like why? Like just why? I mean, funny enough, Stephanie made a comparison to WWE to Marvel, saying that each
I
superstar
saw
is their
that.
own brand. But they just Thanos snapped and about 10% of the roster just went boom.
Yeah.
But all
Oh.
right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today's show. We'll be back next week, hopefully with better news and be able to cover being able to cover what happened last week in WWE and AEW and NXT. And yeah. From me and Moist, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially out. Stay safe, be careful, and peace out. Peace.